The night my daughter-in-law said those words, my world shifted in a way I still can't fully explain. She stood in the doorway with a single suitcase, zipped tight, like she had rehearsed this moment and didn't plan to stay long enough to change her mind. My 8-year-old granddaughter, Anaya, hid half her face behind my leg, her small fingers gripping the fabric of my dress. "We decided she stays," my daughter-in-law said, her voice calm, almost relieved. Not once did she look at Anaya. My son stood a step behind her, silent, shoulders slumped, eyes fixed on the floor like it might open and swallow him. I waited for a pause, for a crack in her voice, for a sign this was a mistake. But there was nothing. The door closed, the sound echoing through the hallway, and Anaya whispered, "Daddy, did I do something bad?" In that moment, anger, heartbreak, and fear collided inside me, but I swallowed them all and pulled her into my arms. The days after felt heavier than the night itself. Anaya moved through the house quietly, like she was afraid to take up space. She folded her blanket every morning without being asked and followed me from room to room, just to be sure I was still there. At school, her teacher said she had stopped raising her hand, even though she knew the answers. One evening, I found her sitting on the floor, drawing our house over and over again. Every picture had the same details: 2 windows, 1 door, and a bright sun in the corner. When I asked her why she always drew the sun, she shrugged and said, "So it doesn't look lonely." That night, as I tucked her in, she asked softly, "Daddy, are you tired of me?" My chest ached. I told her she was never a burden, that she was a blessing. She nodded, but before falling asleep, she whispered, "Promise you won't decide I have to go somewhere else." I promised her, even though fear sat beside me, reminding me how fragile promises can feel. Weeks turned into months, and slowly, the house began to breathe again. Anaya started laughing, real laughter that filled the rooms instead of tiptoeing through them. She helped me cook, standing on a stool, proudly announcing every ingredient like it was a secret recipe. At night, she told me about her dreams, some silly, some sad, all honest. She still missed her parents, but she stopped waiting for the sound of a car outside. One afternoon, she came home with a school project labeled, "My Safe Place." It was a drawing of me and her holding hands, our house behind us. "You're my safe place," she said, as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. I turned away so she wouldn't see the tears. I realized then that love doesn't always arrive the way we expect it. Sometimes it's handed to us through loss, asking us to be stronger than we plan to be. The day my son finally came back, he looked smaller somehow, like guilt had worn him down. He asked if Anaya was ready to come home, his voice uncertain, hopeful, ashamed all at once. I didn't answer. Anaya stepped forward instead. She looked at him, then at me, and took my hand. "I'm already home," she said quietly. There was no anger in her voice, just truth. My son nodded, tears filling his eyes, and for the first time, I didn't feel the need to explain or defend anything. Life had already decided for us. Families aren't always held together by perfect choices or shared decisions, but by the people who stay when staying is hard. And in that moment, I knew no matter what the future brought, Anaya would never face it alone.